So I want to explain by going through a case study on how a purchase lease option can work. So I'm going to invite my next guest onto the sofa. Please put your hands together and help me welcome to the sofa, Stuart Bartlet. Come on. Hey, Stuart. Come and have a seat, please. So, Stuart, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good, good. So thank you for agreeing to come and talk about one of your option deals. So, Stuart, like everyone, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm currently on Mastermind 25.
So what did you do property? What were you doing before you did property?
Before I got into property, I was a physio. I worked in professional sport. And then I moved down to Reading, set up my own company doing physiotherapy.
Okay.
And then I had a few health issues, so for a year I couldn't practice as a physio.
Okay.
So I thought I need to get some income somehow, so I had some equity in my own house, remortgaged that, and actually sold my physio clients and got enough money to do property, buy my first HMO.
Great. So you sold a business,
Yeah.
released some money from property, which is how most people get into property, and
Yeah.
bought an HMO. Okay. And what did that HMO do for you, that first one?
A lot of learnings. I did it without any training. I just knew a few people doing it, and I thought...
Can't be that hard, can it?
No, exactly. I thought, oh, it's easy. People make money in property. Let's give it a go. So I did it, bought my first HMO, did all the regulations, and then thought, I won't swear like you. Thought, I've made a few mistakes. To be fair, it still cash flowed well. I think as long as you're buying for positive cash flow, I still knew that at the time, so it worked, and I was making money.
So you're making money, but not as much as
I
you
wanted
could
to,
make. Okay,
and not as much money. I thought, you see these investors ripping all their money back out, going on to their next one, and I thought that was the way I was going to go. It didn't work like that, so I had to have a little bit of a rethink.
Okay, so how did you then, because obviously you then bought some more, but how did you move on? So obviously you learned from the first one.
So I learned from the first one, and then that's when somebody introduced me to the PIN network.
Yep, okay.
And I started going to a few meetings, the Reading PIN, and I learned some things there, spoke to some estate agents there, started doing the networking. Networking is something that I love. It's one of my strengths. I build really good rapport with someone, and I think it's a massive thing that can help anybody build a business in property. So if you can speak to somebody and and tell as many people as you can of what you do, it will just help you massively.
Absolutely.
So I went there and I spoke to some family and friends and said, I'm looking to buy another property. Would they be interested in investing?
Yeah.
And I managed to get some money from some family members to buy my next property and pull a little bit of money out of the first property as well.
Okay,
so
great. Okay.
That's where I'd got to. So I had 2 properties before I joined Mastermind, and I met Simon at Reading PIN. He'd just taken back over the Reading PIN, or it was just before you were about to take it over, I think.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And at an amateur to professional day, it was called, I think.
Yes.
And you said to me, we got chatting, talking about some of the deals I've done previously, and he said, well, why don't you come on the accelerator? There's so many different ways to buy properties. And you said to me about purchase lease options, and I can remember exactly what I said to you. I said, what idiot would do that?
Yeah.
And
who would be prepared to give up a good house, right?
Who would let me buy their house at a fixed price in 5 years' time? And I thought nobody would do it. And you said, if you want to succeed, you need to change your mindset. And that's where something really hit home. I was like, if I want to succeed, it's me stopping me doing it. And you said, just change your mindset, come on this day, and you'll see so many other ways to buy property. And that's why I did it. So I went on to the accelerator. And
did that work? Did it help you think differently?
Oh, it was brilliant. So I didn't know about purchase lease options. I had friends in development side, and I knew all about land being done on options, but I didn't know doing it within houses.
Right, okay. And it is fair, I mean, land and businesses have been bought for many, many, many years on options. So if you go to a commercial surveyor or a commercial solicitor, they will often understand options, but in terms of residential, it's probably only about the last 10 or 12 years. So it's still pretty new, and even people who are experienced in property don't know you can do it and don't understand
so from there, I did the 3 days, absolutely loved it, and I thought this is the sort of environment I want to surround myself in. And I always thought when I signed up to Mastermind, I was like, oh, there's actually 60 people in the group. I was expecting to be 10, just have you there. I want all your time. I was investing in myself, but I want to spend as much time as I can with you. But I can honestly say the last 10 months, I've learned as much from you as I have from everybody else in that group.
Yeah.
There's 60 of us in
Sort
that
of like
group,
the group, isn't it?
and there's so much knowledge in there that we can just pick each other's brains whenever there's a problem. I said to somebody earlier, Mastermind's been a roller coaster, but the best thing about Mastermind is when you're at the bottom of the roller coaster, everybody in your group is there to pick you up.
Yeah.
It's easy
when you're at the top, isn't it?
It's easy when you're at the top.
When you're at the bottom, that's
when the
when
things are
people give
going
up.
well, everybody's there patting you on the back. Oh yeah, and your spirit's up. When things are going bad, that's when you need the support. And I think every mastermind group, the things that you get from, everybody says the same thing, is the network of people you get, you just can't beat it.
Yeah, and things do go wrong in property, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And there's been people in our group, and for me as well, where I'm there with a deal and I'm looking, I need to get finance, I need to do this, I couldn't get the finance in one way. But the power team that you create, the contacts you have, and the sort of the experience everyone else in the group gives you the confidence to say there's other options out there.
Yeah.
Don't just give up. And I think I needed that accountability and kick up the arse to be...
A bit like Steve.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I needed that accountability to go, come on, Stuart, you need to really keep going and keep going. And I think, obviously, with the coaching calls every couple of weeks, you just get that. And you know that if you haven't done something you said you're going to do, you're going to get a bollocking for it, or you're going to say, come on, you need to do this, it's going to really progress.
Yeah. Cool. So you were starting to buy about one property a year.
Yeah. So I'd say if it wasn't for Mastermind this year, I'd have been doing one a year. I'd have been buying, refurbing, pulling a little bit of the money back out, and then having to find another bit of money to go and go on to my next one.
And then what have you done as a result of investing in yourself?
So this year I'm just finishing a full refurb, which I purchased below market value, which I actually viewed when I was just starting before the accelerator. The sale fell through, and then the agent came back to me. My price was lower than the original purchase price, and they said, would you be willing to pay for that? And I said, well, no, my offer's lower now because it's and they actually said, if you can complete the deal within 12 weeks, then we'll definitely go with you. And I gave them the certainty. I went round and met the owner and told him my intentions of what I wanted to do. And we're just we're just about to finish the refurb on that and then refinance, and that will be a no money left in deal.
Fantastic.
And then the deal that I'm going to talk about now is a PLO, which I thought I'd never get, and what idiot would ever sign up to.
So let's talk through that, because I'm sure there are other people out there who think, why on earth would someone do that? So let's talk about the deal, but I want to understand, what are the circumstances of the owner that made them want to do this crazy deal?
So I found the deal through a landlord letter. I'll be honest, I've done a few landlord letter campaigns. You get very unrealistic landlords just thinking, we'll sell our property, there's someone here wanting to buy. He's obviously a motivated buyer, but you just have to be aware that you're going to have to answer to these people. And it's to get that one deal, it's a numbers game. You just have to keep going with it and keep going with it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of landlords do have high expectations of what the property's worth. And it's again following up, isn't it? And over time they'll come down. When they know they're just not going to sell it at that price, they'll realise they're unrealistic. But at first, there are many who are unrealistic.
And even if they are unrealistic, for them to give you a call, there's a slight motivation there.
Of course.
So if you find that motivation, then you can play on it a little bit. And this is what I did with this deal. So I found it through a landlord letter. I met the owner at the property, and I said, what's the reason for the call? Why are you looking to sell the property? He was actually looking to do a rent-to-rent on it at the time. And he said previously it was on a rent-to-rent, and he had just found out that there was 14 people living in a 6-bed HMO. So obviously my brain's going, well, just tell him that he's liable. He's going to get in trouble if he gets caught. So he actually evicted the tenants there and then managed to get them all out, which was a couple of months. And then we'd been out for a couple of lunches and this, building up a bit of rapport. He's got a big portfolio of property, but this property, he was just said, I can't be bothered with it anymore. It caused him so many problems that he just wanted rid of it. And he was like, I just want no hassle with it.
So far from being stupid, he's a successful guy.
Oh, very successful investor.
He just emotionally, he just didn't want the hassle of that particular property. He just didn't want to worry about it, which is what you're offering to take away the hassle.
So he started off saying, would you take it on a rent-to-rent and take it on a long term? And I said, I'm not really looking for rent-to-rents at the moment. If I'm going to be doing rent-to-rents, then I want to have the opportunity to buy it in a set period of time. And initially when he said no, we started talking, and when we sort of built up the rapport, he said, okay, well, we could look at that. And then we started talking about what purchase price he'd want for it. And he said he had a figure in mind, and I had a figure in mind. And we just said in the end, let's just do a valuation. So we had a valuer come out and value the property, and we've actually agreed the purchase price for that property in 5 years' time.
Great. Okay, so you're buying it at basically
Today's value.
Today's value.
Yeah.
Okay, and hopefully in 5 years' time there'll be some capital appreciation.
Yeah.
There may or may not be, but you would expect. So let's go on to the slides and start talking through this deal.
You can see number 71 is the property which I've got under option. It was currently, so it has a license for 6-bedroom HMO, so I'm actually using it now as a 6-bedroom HMO. The value of the property was 650,000. That's what was done on the valuation. If I was just to buy it as a HMO, it wouldn't work. No. Those sort of figures don't work as just doing a 6-bedroom HMO.
It wouldn't stack up.
No, it wouldn't stack.
Okay.
But the thing with the option is, I've had to commit a little bit of money. I think I've got the option. Yeah, so it's a 5-year option. Sorry. I can't, even though he didn't want any attachment to it, he didn't want to offload the property for 3 years. He said, well, if I'm giving you X, you need to give me something back. So I said, well, why don't we put a clause in the contract to say I can't exercise the option for the first 3 years. Okay. So he's getting some income from the property for the first 3 years. So it gives me 3 years to do what I want to do. And so that's where we're at in the moment. So we fixed the price at 650. 6-bedroom licensed HMO, and it was previously rented on a rent-to-rent basis. This is the room that we've done now, so we've put all the rooms into higher end. Normally in Reading I do all en suites higher end, but I didn't want to commit too much money on the refurb on this one, so we just did new carpets, new furniture, and some decorations throughout. Yeah. So the cost of the refurbishment was £9,000, it was just under that. And then the legal cost for both sides, because the option fee was half, so it was £1,500 each. And this cash flows, so we've just actually, today I've just had confirmation of the last tenant actually taking a room. Great. So they move in, the final tenant will move in the next 2 weeks. Great. So the lease fee that we pay each month is £1,800. He did have an offer from somebody else for £2,000 a month, right. But because we had that relationship, he trusted me. He just said, oh, I want to go with you. Yeah. So again, that where we're seeing again, because you've got the relationship, you take some time to, but people don't always go for the highest figure. You need to really get that into your head. It is important for people, but sometimes that relationship can count more than just being the highest bid. Really important to understand. And then, so my bills and maintenance, he actually pays for some of them. So with a lease option, option, you can, like Simon says, you start with a blank canvas. You can put in whatever you want. So we've put in some clauses that he carries on paying council tax because there's some banding issues coming in Reading. So I wanted to sort of cover myself on that. So we've just put that in. So the bills are a little bit lower than what they would usually be on a 6-bedroom HMO. And then the rental income for this property is £3,335. So profit each month for me is just over £1,000. So in other words, you're making £12,000 in the first year. You're going to get all your money back. Yeah. So over 100% return on investment. And you've got another 4 years after that to make £12,000 a month. So the plan after the first year, we've got obviously, we can't exercise the option for the first 3 years. So we're going to let this one get it all tenanted, let it settle, get the cash flow back, get it all, make sure it's all running fine, smoothly. And we're actually going to, what I love doing in Reading, what my main strategy, if somebody says, what do you do? I add value to property. That's my main strategy. You can't, when you're in the areas of sort of down south, when you're buying property at this sort of price, you can't go and buy ready done HMOs. They don't stack up. So I instantly go into a property and look, I go, can I do a loft extension? Can I do a rear extension? Can I add value so I can get more money back out the property? And I look at my ROI after I've done the refinancing. Yes. You obviously you can't guarantee what you're going to refinance, but if you do, we've got some amazing people on Mastermind, I'm not one of them, who can look at figures and crunch numbers and work out roughly within a couple of £1,000 what we think we're going to get.
Yeah.
Be conservative on what you think you're going to get, because
Absolutely.
valuations at the moment aren't, you won't get what you think you can get.
No.
That was it. So the plan with this property, we're actually going to run planning. If I just go back, if that's all right.
Yep.
If we go back to the map of it, and we're actually in negotiations now to have a purchase option on number 75.
Ah, fantastic.
So we were originally, without that, going to put in a build-to-rent scheme on plot number 71. It's got 33. The building at the back, with the outline, is 2 garages, and that had it's had been rejected for a single dwelling there. But speaking to the planning consultants, it was rejected on fundamental flaws in the plans that they put in. So there's the thing with an option is you don't have to buy it. So even if I didn't end up buying this, I'm still cash flowing money out of it over the 5 years. But what I have got is time to run planning and try and secure something that could be very lucrative. So even if I don't get number 75, if that doesn't come through, we've still got options to do big extensions to the side and to the rear, and also put a single dwelling in the rear of this property. So there's multiple options.
So as a purchase at 600, 650, it wouldn't have worked.
No.
But with the potential planning
uplift,
gain,
yeah.
the planning uplift you could get, then suddenly it's a more attractive
Yeah,
deal.
exactly.
Which may or may not happen, but
No.
if you don't have to buy if you don't
No,
want
exactly. And that's the thing which I love about it is it's
Yeah.
given me the cash flow. It's given me the option to go and explore. I've always wanted to do, my goals were to try and do something development, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't go and buy a piece of land because I'd be competing with every other developer, and I
Yeah.
don't have the experience in that. But what this gives me is the option to build a rapport with a landlord, get something with the option to go and develop it,
Yeah.
and I'm not competing with all the developers who know that sort of side better than me.
Excellent. Fantastic. So this is a great deal. If you had all the things you've done on Mastermind, what do you reckon you're going to achieve by the end of the year, which is in a month or two?
If well, one other thing is, what I will say is, if you don't mind, it's I'd always, one of my biggest tips which I'd say is, when you buy a property, go and speak to the neighbours. So
Absolutely.
the deal that I've just about to pull the money out of, the neighbour came out 2 weeks ago and said, "Stuart, are you interested in buying our house?" And I just put a massive smile on my face and said yes, because
Maybe.
yeah. So we're in negotiations with that as well. So there's a lot of deals in the pipeline,
Yeah.
but with the stuff we've secured, there's over £1 million worth of property,
Great.
with an income of just over £50,000.
Yeah.
You see these figures on there and says, can that actually be done? Who actually does it? And I was so skeptical of it, but if I can do it, anybody actually can. You just listen to what you say. Everybody says it. Trust the process. Do what you say. And there's things out there. I never thought somebody would sign up to an option to a price of today's value that I can buy it in 5 years' time. But
Especially in Reading.
Yeah, in Reading. Yeah, exactly. When nobody says there's any deals.
No deals in Reading.
And
No.
HMO market's saturated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, it's amazing. What it's done for me is I've done what I would have done in 3 years in 1 year.
Yeah.
So it accelerates everything you need and gives you the support that you need when you need it most.
Fantastic. Stuart, for those other people who might be skeptical about, do options really work? What's the biggest piece of advice you would give people here who want to do options? What could they maybe do to secure those deals?
Just be persistent and speak to as many people as you can.
Yeah.
These campaigns work, landlord letters, flyering, and just find out the landlord's problem. Because as soon as you found out that, then you can go and work out what you can do. And options don't work for everybody, and a lot of people will say no, because I've done loads of negotiating with people and trying to, in my head, I'm like, option. But just be open-minded, because if you focus on one strategy and just go in blind and don't look at other things, you'll miss deals. Use the flow chart, it does work, and just keep going with it all.
Excellent, that's great. Let's give Stuart a massive round of applause, please. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for sharing. That's great. Hello, it's Simon here. And first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this inspirational case study. I do hope you got massive value from it. And if you'd like to get
some similar success with your property investing, I've got some great news for you. We have some on-demand 2-hour training about this specific strategy, which we normally sell for £197. But as a thank you for watching this video, I'm going to give you access to the on-demand training completely free of charge. All you have to do is look at the description below this video, click on the link, register, and you get access to that training instantly. So take action now, invest with knowledge, invest with skill.